versus T1. Game 2.
Welcome. New draft, new panel. We have replaced some of our panel members. My name's still Alva Plus, and I'm joined by Tall Fogged and Canadian Effie, also known as Purge and Jenkins.
Yeah, that's basically right. You got it.
Yeah?
I'm fine with that.
Right, cool.
We'll take it.
Well, we are getting into game number 2 between T1 and Lions. And in last game, we saw a pretty dominant performance by T1, especially mechanically. They're always that top team. There's a hero that stood out to me, as he tends to, which is the Magnus. And I know, Jenkins, you've been praising this hero a lot, this TI.
Yeah, so I've been trying to think about what makes this hero tick. Why is it that it feels so strong in this TI? And I think there's an element of, it's obviously really strong, and I like that people are respecting it now and finally banning it out. But my theory was that in TI, people 5-man because they don't want to lose. You really don't want to lose. You just want to play safe. Mm-hmm. The whole, family theory, the comfort of being around your teammates. You're not going to be the one that's like throwing the game. I also think at TI, with that 5-manning, the value of being able to like fish for kills goes up immensely. So, it's a cursed name, but Pudge, for example, has been good at previous TIs for the same reason. You have this wall that's being formed with a really good team. You hook somebody out, all of a sudden it disrupts everything. And then also, BKBs is also something that as things get more and more pressured, as you're playing safer and safer, BKB comes earlier and earlier in the builds. And what does Magnus have as his ultimate? It's like the best BKB piercing disable in the game.
And I think the most important thing for Magnus there about the pick-off thing is that you don't necessarily have to commit RP to get those pick-offs now. Yep. You can either use Shockwave to collect them or Horn Toss, so it's way less resources to go for those fishes than it used to be.
Yep, 100%.
Sorry, I can't gloss over this point. You say Pudge was good at previous TIs?
He was good at previous TIs.
Like Ti10, right?
Yeah.
When they picked it in the final?
Of course.
And the one game they lost?
Yes, of course.
Was with Pudge.
I did a replay review of that game.
Yeah.
Very, very depressing.
Yeah, it was, yeah. just little thing. I want to talk about another hero that we've been seeing a lot. Actually, this combo is pretty strong, as Fogged was suggesting for Alliance, the Snapfire Tide. The Tide made sense within this team fight idea, but what has made the Snapfire resurge so much?
A lot of it is just that she has a free force staff for their second skill, and because teams are so good at TI, sometimes even 300 distance is enough to keep somebody alive from a gank. So the fact that she has that from the beginning to the end of the game, plus high coordination, makes it amazing. Her ulti is great for getting kills. Her laning stage is really solid, especially when you pair her with a minus armor dual lane like the Tide setup. They have a much higher chance to get kills, and that's one of the issues with Alliance's lineup in the previous match, was that it was Snapfire plus Sand King. It isn't really that synergistic other than a double stun, so it wasn't the best dual lane. They ended up not doing so good against the Wraith King, and I think this is going to be a much better way to play. I
think also on top of what you said about, people are obviously much better at TI than during DPC or something like that. With Snapfire and the even though it's only 300 units, in TI, there's a lot of combos. There's a lot of team fight for all of the reasons that we've already talked about. And so combo breakers have immense amounts of value. And so any hero that can do that, whether it's a hero that gets an early force staff or a hero that has one built in, it's going to be good.
Right. And on the T1 side, this time, we see the double support combo, Lion and Treant Protector. I actually want to talk to you, Jenkins or Purge, about the idea of draft theory, because we've been seeing this a lot. That if you have the two straight picks in the first phase, they are starting with supports always, right? They're not revealing a core here. Can you explain to me why that mentality might be?
Well, for T1, one thing that they've done, it was in the Animator that I noticed it, but something that they've done a lot is that they pick complementary heroes in the first phase. So I don't necessarily know if it's important that it's support. To me, it's more so with this team that both of these heroes cover a lot of bases. You have a Treant Protector who's going to be protecting all of the towers. Right. He's going to be sitting in a side lane pushing out creep waves. Does Lion hit a single creep in Dota? Absolutely not. This hero is like completely looking for kills. He's standing in trees, but he needs lanes to be pushed out in order to do that, and that's what Tree does. Tree pushes lanes. So having a hero that can play in side lanes in Tree and push out creep waves, and then having a hero that can actually gank off of it is really important. And then between these two heroes, there's also not a lack of disable. They do good disable. They do good damage. T1 does this. They cover all of their bases in their first 2 picks, so that way their final 3 picks can be whatever makes sense for the enemy lineup.
And it's so much easier to be flexible when that's the case, because then you don't have to make up for lackings. You don't have to worry about maybe your lane pairings be weak. That's a lot of the reason that Alliance opened like they did. A lot of teams are doing this. You grab your 4 and your 3. It's a really synergistic combo, and it brings this much bigger threat against the enemy carry position, who now has to say, like, well, we can't be greedy at all. We also have to pick something good, and it's just going to restrict your opponent's options.
And to add to that point, the 4 and the 3, when they pick it, is always in the first and fourth pick in the first phase. So you can actually protect the 3 a bit with the next 3 bans. And this will change what happened in the last game, but the Sand King didn't seem that strong in the laning phase.
Well, I briefly watched the beginning of the replay, and what mostly cost him, he went Caustic Finale level 1, which is not that weird against a Wraith King. You can do lots of damage. But I hearken it back to that dual lane issue between Snapfire and Sand King. What happened is Wraith King got a couple more denies than Sand King. It took like 2-ish minutes for them to get level 2 or something. It was a bit delayed due to the denies. And as a result, he doesn't have Burrow Strike for a while, so they just have no kill potential on the Bane. And because Bane was such a good laning hero, he actually ended up getting like a range creep pulled to the large camp. Then he stacked his small camp. Then he pulled his double stack small camp. This is stuff that's like pretty unheard of typically in the laning stage right now.
Yeah, that's insanely game losing.
So like that advantage that they got out of it forced them into this like constant separation where Sand King didn't even get to play next to Snapfire. So then Wraith King just has an abundance of net worth advantage, and he still has a Magnus, so it's just going to get more worse for Alliance as the game continues. So it was a lot of a laning issue, but some of that was certainly draft specific.
Okay. Do you think it would have changed if they had not gone for Caustic Finale level 1? Like Burrow Strike or Sandstorm, would that have made a difference?
If it wasn't Bane, maybe, because Bane has pretty high armor, so he's going to resist a little Shredder, and he's going to be able to offset some of that heal with Brain Sap. So I think if it's a slightly weaker support, absolutely. But I think they did the right thing in the circumstance. It's just they didn't lane well enough and they got pulled on too much.
Yeah, that's the thing. Sand King notoriously is a hero that really struggles between levels 1 through 3. But once you have high levels in Sandstorm, it's really easy to lane because you just press Sandstorm, push the creep wave out. If the enemies go on you, you just stun them in it and they take a ton of damage. So delaying his level 3 timing is extremely important. T1 did that, and with heroes like Bane and Wraith King, who have a huge amount of kill threat and lane harass, it's really hard to play into that if you've messed up the first 3 levels. So it was like amplified by the fact that T1 had such a strong lane.
So now we hear the clapping, of course, the audience going crazy because Earthshaker has been picked. And this hero has been moved from the previous 4-5 who used to see him into the 3 position, this TI. What led to this change in your opinion, Purge?
I'm not sure specifically what made him more popular there, but he kind of did fall off as a 4. Typically, like, he can like lane block people, and that's very effective, but because it's dual lanes, Earthshaker, without his shard being busted, which it was during the DPC at one point, he just felt weaker as a support. But now as a 3, it's like you still get the best of both worlds. You can lane quite well against a lot of cores, and then your impact in terms of team fights is excellent because of Blink Dagger combos. So it is certainly, I would say, top 3 offlane hero right now.
Yeah,
so
really
no surprise to see it on T1.
Okay. You think the cleave they added to Enchant Totem might have helped him?
It definitely helps, yeah. That's something that like he scales better. My opinion on Earthshaker is that he's been pretty decent as an offlaner for quite some time, just because he has that like natural tankiness that's so annoying in an offlaner. Magnus has that as well, where you go to kill him and he's just some 3,000 HP hero if he goes for treads at like 15 minutes. Like, okay, this is... But then on top of that, I also think that the game is being played a lot faster than can support a position for Earthshaker, who... You can't really take a lane to farm your Blink these days. Like, in that timing, a team is going to beat you. That's just how Dota has kind of felt for like the last 5 to 6 months, where the hero has fallen off. But you're farming in the lane as Earthshaker, so the timing, you get it like 5 minutes earlier, and in that 5-minute window, you're not going to lose the game.
Right. We see a FNG special, which is a Crystal Maiden. We've seen it, I think, once before, not to great success this hero. I think it was T1 actually picked against LGD. Why? Why the Crystal
I like it. It's a lane stabilizer. It's good at harassing. It's going to lower attack speed. That's pretty effective in some of those early trades, and it's going to just make it a lot harder for them to kill Medusa in the laning stage.
Is she like a poor man's coddle here for the Medusa?
I wouldn't necessarily. I mean, I guess it's kind of similar. You're blasting opponents, getting lane trade advantages, but extra mana regen on Tide and Snapfire are great too. It's going to make them be able to harass more often in the laning stage.
Is she going to be an easy target for the Slark, though?
Eventually, you know, Slark is a later timing hero where, at least looking at this draft for Alliance, I see the Dusa CM lane, which presumably it's going to be that. Even if they put Snapfire and did some, CM4, like that would still do very well against Earthshaker Lion. Lion is very killable. Earthshaker's a hero who's going to sit on the wave. So you're super susceptible from the harass that's going to come out from the Mystic Snake and one of the nukes from either of these two supports. And if Snapfire comes in ganks, that's even more potential to kill an Earthshaker. So, I feel like Alliance is going to get a lot of farm this game on both of their supports.
Now, if we look at the Slark a bit, I'd actually like to propose a problem here, and I would like a solution from you, Jenkins. So, you have no instant stuns, only roots here. Cookie is not going to surprise him. He's going to Dark Pact, unless you blink Ravage onto him, of course. That's the only solution. What is the Alliance's solution to this? Because mid laners don't usually carry that instant stun, except maybe DK.
Force Staff's kiting him. Like I said, I think they're going to get farmed between their supports. So there's that option. You're right. There's not much instant stun. I do think with a Dusa, with a Tide, you can kite a Slark enough where you just catch him after his 2 Dark Packs and after his ult. I think that's actually possible. But you probably do want a little bit more. You do want a little bit more. You don't want to just rely on that, because if the Slark is popping off, then he's just going to stick on you. He's just going to get tons of stacks, and you're playing these long fights against him. He's like, okay, that's great for me. If he has +1 item on the Dusa especially, it's just impossible to play. So some instant disabler, some hero who might build an Orchid would be great.
Oh, that's a good idea, actually. What kind of hero could that be?
Any typical spirit hero is usually the way that you end up seeing as Slark counters. Kunkka would have been great because you can X him and bring him back no matter whether or not he's going to dispel or not. So that would have given them some easier setup kills, and that's the issue with Alliance's draft. They don't really cross the map super well to get kills. So I definitely agree that they need somebody to be that start of the fight, because Crystal Maiden wants to play behind these tanky heroes, land her spells, sit back for 10 seconds, go back in again. Snapfire is going to want to have somebody that can start fights to make her ultimate feel useful. So
there it is. Okay.
Void Spirit is perfect for that. Jump in, disable somebody, maybe with a Yules, and allow your team to follow up, get a kill.
You build up an Orchid like you were suggesting?
I think so. I think this is a good Orchid game. I mean, people are usually opting to go for a different style of Void Spirit build, which is the Yule Scepter into Sanjin Kaya, and you're just going for this late game high magic damage build. But I think in this game against the Slark, it does make sense. It does depend on the timings. Like if Slark is already having a bad game, you don't necessarily have to build the Orchid. It's fine to not build the Orchid because the Slark's not a problem. You can just kill him with your ground targeted nukes, for example. But it's definitely in the cards. We're more likely to see it in this game than in the other Void Spirit games that we've seen.
Could you also build an Ags as an alternative to set up for the Slark? I mean, it's 2-second silence, not something you usually need to look out for.
Yeah, for sure.
That's probably a lot safer, because then there's a lot of heroes on that dire lineup that you're going to want to silence. So Ags is going to be raw, a lot more survivability for Void Spirit. That's probably more important than the extra right-click damage and higher mana regen.
It is. It depends on how we if I think Void Spirits tend to go for the Orchid, if they're having a really good game.
Yeah.
I think that's just Orchid in general. We see that on Spectre as well, where Spectres are not really building the Orchid unless you're so farmed that you're going to get your next item at the same timing that you would without the Orchid because you're getting kills with it. So that's just kind of where Orchid falls as an item in Dota right now.
The biggest thing T1's missing right now is they need a hero that's going to go frontline and spot enemy squad. Slark can do that with Shadowblade, or if he's just generally tanky and ready to go, but they don't really have a frontliner, and Ember Spirit's going to be perfect for that. Somebody that can jump in and set up fights and look for the Echo Slams after.
All right, well, I want to hear from you, Perch, then. What do you like about this T1 lineup?
I like that they can be very aggressive. They have tons of disables. If they do catch one of these heroes, they can probably kill them, but it's going to be really hard against Tide and Dusa because they have so much survivability as well as Kraken Shells. So there's good stuff about them. They got to split up Alliance and kill them one by one.
Jenkins, for Alliance?
I think that Alliance has good heroes for ganking. I think they have good heroes for the early game and the Void Spirit and their 4-man around the Dusa. And I also think that they can play the long fights. I know T1 has Slark, but I still think that the long fights eventually will favor Alliance once they get enough items on their Dusa.
Is there anything they should be worried about as Alliance? Some weaknesses at this draft?
Laning stage maybe for Tide. In most of the group stage games, we saw Slark get banned out against Tidehunter for worries of that extra harass. And with it being a tree, that's a pretty aggressive dual lane with Leech Seed and the Bramble, whatever, Nature's Grasp. There we go.
Yes. I've heard that lane's not actually so bad for the...
From BSJ?
For the Tide anymore. Yeah, it was from BSJ, so maybe I should take that with a grain of...
No, he's a Slark spammer, right?
He's a Slark, he's an offlane player too as well, so... But no, it does feel like that. Tide with Snapfire especially, you've got the double minus armor. It's so much harass, you could even skip Kraken Shell.
Well, I would love to go to BSJ now for the last word, but he's not here, so he's lazy. So we're going to instead go to Suraction Slaxus once again with March.
Hello, hello. Thank you so much. We have March here yet again. March, a very quick tree and protector snag after that very standard opening coming from Alliance. Were you expecting that?
I mean, Snapfire is a very highly contested hero, and we like it too. So I think that's why they picked it up. We like that hero as well. Yeah.
All right. Well, say no more. Very quickly, chances of this game win. How are you feeling? Give me a percent.
75%.
75%. Well, we're 100% ready to go into that game. So let's go ahead and throw it to our fantastic casters and Sunsfan.
Thank you, Slacks. Recycling memes as always. That's your entire job description these days. Sunsfan here with Cinderin. T1 versus Alliance. Game 2 of this best of 3 in the lower bracket. How do you like these lineups this time around, Cinderman?
I think I like how Alliance this game have solved a bit more of the team fight problem they had in the last game. I think the way their lineup groups around Medusa can work really well. But that said, I also think T1 have some really great tools. To me, this T1 lineup feels like Assassination Squad, right? You've got Ember, Lion, as well as Slark, who can immediately take advantage of any fissure, any overgrowth that you find from the tree line, just get in there. I think the biggest challenge for Alliance, honestly, in this game is to keep their supports alive. I don't think playing Crystal Maiden is particularly fun in a game like this.
You could have just stopped it.
And even Snapfire, who's a relatively tanky support and stands far back, you're just not safe against these heroes. And a little bit of a problem is the protection that you have against Ember and Slark is relatively limited, right? Like, what do you have? You have Ravage, Frostbite, and a Cookie, and a bit of a stretch you have Aether Remnant, but that one's going to be hard to land. And Slark can purge off all of this if he times it well. So I think Alliance, absolutely paramount in this game. Get off to a good start in the lanes, and you need, honestly, just stellar positioning on supports in this game to not just end up feeding.
Right. I mean, last game T1 got off to a really good start, and just I mean, that was basically the game. It felt like it just snowballed out of the control of Alliance, and they weren't able to really do much from there on out. As top lane, we are seeing some action. Zephyr playing the Treant Protector, which we'll talk about in just a moment here. Actually, we can do it now, Cinder. Your thoughts on this pick, since a lot of other teams don't pick Treant at all.
Yeah.
But T1, one of the few exceptions.
I had this theory, actually, that... so in the group stage, we had a couple of games with Quincy Crew. I think that was in day 1, where they picked Treant in 2 games in a row, and it just didn't really work for them. And I had this theory, okay, maybe they've been scrimming against T1 and been gold. Because, like, almost no other team, like you said, plays it. Oh, Zephyr is in trouble. He will be fine, though. No, almost no other team plays it, and it's been respect banned against T1 by basically every team. PSG even yesterday showing respect to Zephyr's Treant, so we'll see what it's all about here. I honestly like that Alliance let it through to change things up in this game, because obviously the last game just wasn't working out. Yeah. So they're choosing to give something else over and see what they can do about it. Unfortunately, to me, this is a really good Treant Protector lane, so I don't think they address the hero very well in the laning stage, and that's a really big part of what T1 use it for, is this hyper-aggressive play coming out from Zephyr.
Yeah, and Zephyr, of course. I mean, Tree as a hero, highest base damage in the entire game, so the level 1 potential in terms of just trading right clicks is better than anybody in the entire game. As you can see, Carl playing the Ember Spirit this time around versus Limp's Void Spirit, so the Spirit Brothers at it again. What's relatively even right now is, I mean, who would you favor just hero-to-hero matchup between these two?
In the mid lane?
Yeah.
I think it's pretty much a wash. Honestly, this lane very often ends with a draw. Comes down to who gets the first gank, or like sometimes I think the player who's most likely to find a kill, or the hero rather that's most likely to find a kill in this lane, is probably the Ember. But either way, it generally comes off the back of overconfidence, overstepping to get CS. You're going to see them play completely neck and neck here, right? They're getting the exact same CS, the exact same items. Literally identical inventories, just with different item orientation. Same number of bottle charges. Oh, Carl used his Tango.
Oh boy.
You gotta follow suit. Doesn't matter your full health. Do it for the fans.
Yeah, do it for the fans.
And he's gonna have to use it now.
Cookie's gonna connect onto Whitemon in the bot lane. Looks like he'll be safe. Using an Earth Spike to try to trade a little bit of damage going their way. I mean, this is the lane we haven't talked about yet, but 23 Savage playing the Slark against a Tidehunter, which historically is pretty good for Slark in terms of the mid to late game once you get past the laning stage. Because you have just this fat, tanky hero that you can just get stacks off of. Yeah. As Cuckoo. Now, looks like FNG is going to take a tumble here. So first blood goes the way of T1 with the Enchant Totem. And actually, the thing I had to hold that thought. Double impale coming out from Whitemon again. S4 gets hexed, and there's the pounce. It does connect. Popping the wand, keeping alive a little bit longer, but 23 Savage. Well, actually, it wasn't him. Whitemon somehow stole the kill from his position once.
I don't like that narrative, Shannon. It's not a steal.
He stole it.
It's not a steal when the support gets a kill. It's good. He did a good.
If you were a position 1 player, you would agree with me.
I am very much not a position 1 player.
I know.
And I'm all about the team.
Yeah.
Getting a good game for your support. He's going to pay it back to you later.
Yeah, we'll see.
He will do something with that gold that's going to make you really happy. Don't you worry.
Zephyr in the trees right now has his Nature's Grasp ready to go. Has 2 levels of Leech Seed, so can do even better trading. So they're able to potentially find a kill there. FNG, obviously one of the slowest heroes in the game, is Nico Baby. Not a whole lot of mana to speak of. A nice fissure. Nico Baby forced to go up top. Enchant Totem is there, but don't think they'll get the kill. But he's going to take heavy, heavy damage as a result of this. In fact, Zephyr might be the one in trouble.
Okay.
They're just going to turn it around. So Alliance getting their first kill of the game.
That looked good for T1 because the Fissure and Nature's Grasp were lined up so nicely, and there was no path for Nico Baby to take. He's just tanky enough, and obviously a little bit clunky with these 2 melee heroes walking in together, end up blocking each other, can't really connect onto Nico Baby, and obviously the Crystal Maiden as well, doing a lot of work. Now FNG, however, is out of mana, and he does not have the aura yet, so he's going to send out 2 Mangoes as well as a Sage's Mask. So for a little bit of time, he will have some downtime here, but doesn't really matter. Cuckoo is just free farming close to his tower anyway, and I don't think FNG could have done that much about it. So,
yeah, you can see in terms of CS, Carl just slightly ahead of Limp right now as he's going to get the slide at Fist. Here comes Zephyr from the side. Gets off the Nature's Grasp, going to slow a bit with that Leech Seed as well. Limp in quite a bit of trouble. Pops a Fairy Fire. TP support coming.
He's dead.
Zephyr. Yeah, the last slide of Fist, and now FNG might be in some trouble.
He's dead.
Double Remnant. Zephyr will be able to get up a couple right clicks along with the Leech Seed again coming online. So double kill for Carl to start this game. T1 doing very well. I was going to... Man, it's a good thing I didn't say it because that would be a caster's curse, but for the mid lane, Limp definitely off to a better start until that point.
Yeah. And now Carl is going to pull significantly ahead. He's level 6.5 against Limp's 5.75. I think Carl's net worth has to be up by a few hundred. 800, or 700, pardon me.
Yeah, Limp trying to get some retribution here onto Carl.
Oh, he does
get the stun. Yeah, Carl needs to back up despite Whitemon being here. Well, never mind, Zephyr's on the high ground as well. It's a 3v1.
Oh, if Limp dies here, this is
he gets
so...
hexed as well. T1 looking for another kill on the mid laner for Alliance.
Okay.
Oh, he gets off. Oh, he's going to mitigate a little bit of damage there. Turning it around.
Okay.
Gets 2 kills before dying. At least gets something out of it this time, Cinderman.
Talk about value Resonant Pulse. They thought they had the kill. You saw Carl already backing off. He was like, all right, Trey on the line, you just hit him once each, he's going to die. He gets that damage block through that 2-hero Resonant Pulse connection, and then he gets level 6 from the first kill, so he can jump on the second kill as well. So a nice heads-up play there from Limp to get something out of that. Because that looked like he was just completely doing bottom lane.
Absolutely.
23 Savage and Whitemon connecting on S4.
He's playing on the edge here. S4. Get a lot of stacks for 23 Savage now. Whitemon with Zephyr's company should be able to take S4 out. He gets off the Gush, but won't be enough to find his way to get the kill on 23 Savage. Halfway to level 6, and once he gets to that point, it's going to be extremely hard to kill this Slark.
You know, dying as an offlaner with a creep wave like that, you're just so sad. Like 23 Savage just denied 4 creeps. He denied a full wave immediately after killing the Tide, and now he's just going to stabilize down here, find his level 6 very soon. It looks like Alliance will try to gank him before then, but keep in mind Slark has night vision, so your angles are a little bit more limited here. And 23 Savage even has a read that something could be coming his way, playing very cautiously. Might even take level 6 just from range without going for the CS. Oh, never mind. We'll be pulled away by his 4 though.
Yeah, still level 5 on the Tide Hunter. And as we talked about 23 Savage, this wave should give him level 6. He's given solo XP. There we go. So has his Shadow Dance to work with. Talk to me about... I mean, this looks like a really good Slark game, like theoretically, against Medusa, against Tide.
I think so too.
Anything else to say?
Like the panel said, honestly, a little bit surprising maybe that Alliance let it through. You pick the Tide first phase.
Yeah.
Most teams go into bans here and ban the Slark. And then, okay, if you want to let that through, that's fine. But you also picked a carry that Slark loves facing, so you made this game even more enjoyable. And it's always important. Okay, hang on, Hanskin.
Yep. White One's going to be there.
Here.
They'll be able to clean him up pretty easily. A little bit late to the party is Limp. He gets the haster at the very least.
It's always important when you look at the draft and you look at how the lineups turn out and you're like, man, this hero's counterpicked by 3 picks that wasn't good. You always need to remember what the draft order is, right? Like, you're always giving away information based on pick order. So a lot of the times, even at the absolute highest level with the best drafters in the world, there's going to be heroes that are just hard countered in the game because they get shown early. And obviously that's why a lot of the time you show your support as one of your first 2, sometimes even both supports, so that the cores can have better conditions. But yeah, in this game you did first phase your offlaner, and then I feel like not fully protect him here on S4. So that could end up costing Alliance dearly. He will find his level 6 minute 9, which is not all that great. Cuckoo level almost 8 on the Shaker for comparison. And this is while I believe both position 4s on the, the respective 4s have the same experience as well. So it's just raw offlaner difference. It's not like one of the 4s just took a lot more experience in the lane. I almost said stole. Bad influence from you there. It's not stealing. It's cooperative gameplay.
Okay,
we don't need to. We don't need to spread this agenda of playing cores against the supports even more than they already are in public games.
I mean, to be fair, it's gotten a lot better over the course of the last few years because everybody's getting farmed now. Yep, we have the Hex to start things out from Whitemon. This might be another death, but Cookie keeps him alive a little bit longer, but not long enough. FNG not able to save his mid laner. Limp now with his 3rd death of the game. And like I said, in terms of the 1v1, he was doing great, but since these ganks have been coming, just feels like non-stop from T1. He's just been dying left and right.
And the concern I have right now for Alliance is, what's your move, right? You need to do something about this status quo. It's not favoring you. You have a Slark laning against Tide. He's happy. Shaker's laning against Medusa. He's also happy. He's just, like, Kuka's just farming lane and jungle. He's out farming the Medusa as Shaker in this lane effectively. His net worth being higher by about 300 right now. And as we've already covered, Karl is 5-0. So you're also losing mid. So you have to make something happen in the game. This is not the kind of game where, we'll just park, we'll stack some Ancients, park Medusa mid, go farm the triangle, and then we're going to have this like strong timing, because in a few minutes, T1 is going to be running at you and pressuring you, and you're not going to get that area for free. So
T1 getting credit for another kill. I mean, speaking of Ancients, there is a stack for Medusa to eventually take, but you can see that there's a somewhat aggressive ward also placed in that area for T1. So when that is being taken, they'll probably try to contest. 23 Savage trying to get some trade-off here.
Might dive here. This is dangerous, though. Yeah, he's going to think twice about it.
Especially with 23 Savage having his ult, so a lot of passive regen now. Karl gets off the Searing Chains. S4 is going to apply the Ravage, but will it save his life? Negatory. Sleight of Fish finishes him off, but Limp & Company might be able to get some beautiful trades here. Karl does one more Sleight of Fish, but dies shortly after. In the meantime, 23 Savage destroys Crystal Maiden despite getting that freezing field out for about a half a second. Hansien looks to be next on the menu, but he does get Cookie off in time. 23 Savage, okay, we have the Mortimer's Kisses from afar, but they're going to go for the Limp kill. They'll get it successfully. It'll cost him his life. But he does get the stack at the very least of Essence Shift. Nico Baby all alone in the mid lane, so this is exactly what Alliance needs.
Pretty good for Alliance overall here. It might have looked like a bad Ravage, but ultimately they do get pretty much value out of it, finding those 2 kills and almost a mid-tier 1 tower. Lovely play from Nico Baby, especially to make that judgment call as Medusa to go push mid minute 10. That is not an obvious choice to make in this game state, but looking at what was happening bottom, it was definitely the right call for him to go there and get as much out of it as he could. You've got to be like a shark, is what he says, and not exactly the most hyper-aggressive carry that can be like a shark that he's playing here, but he's finding as much food as he can there in the mid lane.
That's true. I mean,
a very slow
when
Medusa.
I think of Nico Baby, I actually do think of Medusa because it's literally tattooed on his neck.
Yes,
so
that is true.
He has some sort of affinity with this hero, Cinder, and so we'll see how he performs this game. Tier 1 tower.
Yeah.
It's pretty low on HP here, and T1 want to try to S4. I mean, this is what Tide Hunter does. Just puts his fat-ass body here.
You're unlikely to access this tower without a siege creep against Tide with the heroes that you have right now. So S4 making the right call to go there, and then Nico Baby's back to the jungle, probably going to be looking at that Ancient stack. Might triple stack it here before 13 or even quad stack it. It is being pinged by Zephyr, so he kind of has the same read that, you know what? This is probably what Alliance are going to be looking to do next, and he's completely right. The stack is now coming in from Hanskin, so would imagine a smoke play could come up soon. I'm hearing a pick pull.
Yep, that was used to stack. Very important that he had pick pull to be able to pull that off successfully.
They didn't stack, did they?
Okay, good effort.
I think the timing was off.
Yeah, maybe. The pick pull needed to be activated about a half second earlier, Cinderin.
Maybe he activated pick pull and the Ancients got scared and ran back.
Yeah, they'd be scared by a pick
S4.
for sure. S4, stuck inside the Nature's Grasp. Looks like he's going to be taken out. Does not have Ravage yet. Okay, never mind. Kraken Shell activates.
That's good
Away he
call.
goes.
FNG takes him out there.
Yep.
From
the
Crystal
lane.
Nova saves him. Very good.
It takes him out from the lane. Technically correct is always correct. Alliance looking to go on 23 Savage, who's very low on mana right now, but looks like
Here
he'll
comes
be good to
T1.
go.
Dagger on Shaker. They want to jump him.
Oh, Pounce not able to connect for 23 Savage. Cuckoo, like you said, Blink Dagger's there. It gets the Enchant Totem off. And Limp Astral steps to safety. Does that have any more stacks, though? Another 6 seconds before it comes off cooldown. Mortimer kisses from afar.
Very good
Up
kiss.
close, actually onto 3 heroes. T1 taking so much damage, but the Echo Slam is expended to at least get 23 Savage. It's going to be a trade for 3, though. Triple kill for Hanskin with a god tier Mortimer's Kisses.
Oh my god. Can you imagine a damage breakdown on that one? 3k damage.
Not bad.
We're 14 minutes in. That is some sick value out of the kisses there. And yeah, T1, they were really looking for that Void Spirit kill, but unfortunately, Lion could not fully connect. I think maybe if Cuckoo Echo Slam's there, that could have bridged the gap, but understandably doesn't want to use it, and just really heads up play there from Hanskin to find that angle and get a big old off.
Yeah. Why is it called Mortimer's Kisses anyway?
Why not?
It should be like Mortimer's Belches or something, you know? Like he's not... I don't see the connection at all.
I know you
personally.
really want to make belches happen in this game, but there's only one hero that has those, and that's Pudge, and that's probably going to stay that way.
It's too bad. This is one of the best Mortimer's Kisses we've seen this tournament for sure. Getting really big value out of that. Zephyr, Cookie connects on top of him. He's going to be taken out very quickly.
Wait,
Never mind.
what?
Gets the overgrowth off. They got a little bit too confident. Finally gets taken out though, but the TPs are here from T1 trying to turn this around. Limp takes a tumble. 3 dead so quickly in favor of T1. Hanskin will get hexed as well.
Limp didn't finish the kill. He had the...
I mean, would that have made a difference, you think?
He thought the Treant was dying, so he used Dissimulate, right? And he jumped away.
Yeah, he thought he had it for sure.
Yeah, what ends up happening is that instead of killing Treant, he gets a 2-man ulti off.
Yeah.
That allows his entire team to connect on both of them. So definitely going to be regretting that. Like, you probably have casualties there regardless, even if you do kill off the Treant with that Dissimulate. But at the very least, both not you and Tide, you don't
I guess
both
the fact
get caught.
that you
it forced them to Ravage, right? Like, that's the thing.
that's
S4
true.
popped the Ravage because he was like, okay, I have to kill the Treant because we didn't get it done with the Void Spirit. And then he doesn't have the Ravage when all of T1 connects. So honestly, kind of a huge mistake there for Alliance that ends up costing them a lot.
As you can see, T1 taking the lead in terms of just the net worth alone. Diffusal Blade now online for 23 Savage.
Yeah, he is strong.
Yep. Going for the BKB next, so looking to fight pretty early. Has 7 stacks already of Essence Shift, actually.
If he has BKB, he only needs to worry about 1 spell for the entire BKB duration. That's Stone Gaze. Nothing else is going to touch him at all. They don't have significant single target damage. That's one of the things you trade off when you pick Medusa. She's a very good spread damage carrier, but doesn't, until very late, start having that heavy single target because your natural buildup will favor split shot for the farming, and you don't get like something like first item Daedalus or whatever, right? Like, not that any carry does that, but you get the idea. It takes time. You need 3 or 4 items before you truly start just standing your ground against Slark. So with that BKB, he can feel very, very safe. Oh, he's actually maybe getting eyes on Nico Baby here with that night vision. He sees him.
Yeah. But
it's going to leech a bit of the experience.
Ancients are taken out for Nico Baby, so at least that is not contested.
He's going to wrap around. He will see Hanskin here. He saw the Solar Crest being used, and that means Hanskin has no defensive capability from that.
That's
No
the
plus
Diffusal
armor.
Blade. Will just cookie himself to the high ground, though. And we see the Stone Gaze going up with a nice fissure blocking him off. Cuckoo, in the meantime, looks like that's going to be the sacrifice. Fissures and dies. So not the setup that T1 was looking for. A good defense from Alliance.
Yep. As I've talked about in a previous cast, I always wonder, it gives an insight into what players are thinking when they ping heroes like this. He just pinged Snapfire Medusa.
Looks like Zephyr is going to die. Gets off the overgrowth, but 100 seconds of none of that for him. Okay, I was gonna say, I don't want to jinx it anymore, so I'm very hesitant now. That took quite a while, which maybe not so good a sign for Alliance, but they're not too far behind right now, so definitely can find an avenue back in the driver's seat for this game.
Yeah, this bottom tower is definitely gone. Nico Baby's going to take that, working on his Scotty. He went for SNY, opting not to go Manta against Treant, which I think a lot of Medusas would. Overgrowth is very annoying to deal with for carries in general. Sometimes in the past we've even seen carries go Manta BKB first two just to deal with Treant on a hero like, for example, Troll Warlord, who is totally dependent on being able to attack in his ult. But
Overgrowth, Searing Chains, there's a couple things to take off here.
I feel like Manta would have a lot of value here, but Nico, maybe he feels like there's too much, so he'd rather have the status resistance, so at least he gets rid of them faster than having that one quick removal. I could see the logic in that as well. You're playing against Shaker and Lion, there's just too much. Probably. So I kind of like this way of approaching it instead of the Manta.
I like how we just went through a little mind experiment where you've convinced yourself after talking. It's good to see.
Yeah, it's
very open mind. You're able to convince yourself of something else if you want. Oh, looks like Crystal Maiden is done. FNG trying to get the D ward.
That is how all machine learning works, by the way. I train against myself and come to a conclusion.
Yeah.
So
That is quite that's shockingly accurate and disturbingly accurate, in fact. Nico Baby, like you said, working on the Scotty now. As Alliance trying to stave off elimination here in game number 2 of this best of 3. S4 trying to TP out, but the pounce will cancel. Whitemon in the vicinity as well.
S4 trying to run. S4 trying to move.
He's not going to move.
S4 trying to cast a spell.
Thank you for the commentary, Synderin, as always.
S4 trying to respawn.
I would love for you to cast a team fight. Just
Synderin trying to
robot
cast.
voice. Robot cast. Sounds good to me. 23 Savage now. Still a ways away from the BKB.
FNG.
Yep, that's another death for him. 23 Savage now with 9 permanent stacks of Essence Shift. Gonna harass Nico Baby a bit.
Free stacks.
Yeah, and of course you can see the power of Slark against the Medusa just drains the mana so much faster, especially with the Diffusal Blade on top of that.
We did say it was going to be a hard maiden game. Man, FNG is just... I don't know, I'm not in the booth. I would imagine he's not particularly having fun. Not seeing a lot of voice lines, not seeing a lot of laughing. Also can't see him, so that would probably be a little bit hard to see, but...
True.
It is, it's tough being a maiden in this game. And in hindsight, you know, Alliance, when they picked it, perhaps... This is one of those picks that's easier to criticize, because with the information they had available at the time, you set up even more for a good Slark game, because it's good against Maiden, right?
Yeah.
And the heroes that you saw at that given point in time was, I think, Treant, Lion, Shaker, which, from my perspective, Crystal Maiden doesn't perform particularly well against. So maybe you were just really hungry for the aura for your Void Spirit and Dusa. But yeah, tough game for FNG, that's for sure.
No doubt. We got the
finally
dagger.
gets the D ward. He fought hard for that one.
It's so hard to ward against a Slark. The fact that he just knows that there's vision in the area, especially with the pro. I mean, in pubs maybe it doesn't matter as much, depending on the skill level, but pro games it is so difficult.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's honestly one of the, like, that's what makes Slark such a powerful hero when it's a good pick against the enemy, is the added benefits. It's the fact that you get a hero that can find wards and has 1800 night vision, which is a super crucial part at the highest level of engaging fights, getting information for free, making the right decisions. A lot of the time, Slark actually ends up winning the game because he has information that other carriers just wouldn't have in the same position, and you just make one good call that wins you a team fight and gets you Roche. Just flat out off Shadow Dance and nothing else. So, yeah.
Cuckoo has his Ags on the way, so we'll be able to use Enchant Totem to initiate
farmed,
along with the Blink. Yeah, position 3 Earthshaker always feels pretty good because you can get these items really fast compared to what we're used to. Oh, we're going to see a big collision here. Yeah, that's true. Fake Grenade on Earthshaker, pretty disgusting. S4 trying to tank things up as the initiation comes. Carl, let's see the BKB picked up, or popped by 23 Savage, going to town on S4 in the meantime. You can see Ember Spirit creating so much space on the backline. Nico Baby forced his ult out. Now Hanskin not quite going to die here. It's nice taunt onto Carl, but there's the double kill with the Sleight of Fist. He's taking a lot of damage, though. Can he get out in time? As 23 Savage just focusing on Nico Baby. There's the Overgrowth to keep them in place. There's so many stacks now, but finally the Ravage comes out onto S4, but it's not going to matter, Synderin. This is going to be a full team wipe for T1, and they barely took any damage.
It's such a godly fight from Carl. He just does everything right. See, the fight breaks out, they see the Tide, and he gets a little bit of vision on the backline supports. He literally zoned 2 heroes on his own, killed them both, and then lived after. Like, you can't ask for more out of an Ember Spirit in a game like this. Just I'm not going to say he single-handedly won the fight, but he definitely spearheaded it. So you're going to see the replay here. S4 goes out and breaks the smoke. They're going to poke him a little bit here with slight chains. And as soon as Karl sees the backline here, he's just immediately going to go in, BKB up, kill Maiden instantly. Not that that's too big of an accomplishment, but then he's going to go on to the next targets. Notice how Snap can't play. Like, Hanska can't play his hero here. He then kites away.
Yep.
This starts looking dodgy. Good slight. And then ultimately gets to reset position. The Hex there at the bottom of your screen onto the Void Spirit, keeping Karl alive. So really good teamwork in that.
Yeah,
Overgrowth
just sealed it right there. As we see FNG now gets off the freezing field for just a little bit, but not resulting in a kill as of yet. Zephyr still more than healthy. Yeah, divide and conquer right there with that fissure.
Alliance are just not finding moments right now. And while Nico Baby is really farmed this game and is having a good time, the rest of the team are just lacking severely behind based on the nature of the game. Like, yeah, you're going to be able to farm on at least one core in most games like this, but Medusa can't carry this game on her own. There needs to be more damage than just that split shot. Right now, Void Spirit, what are you sitting on? You have not even a Kaya Sanj, minute 24 for Limp, having a very tough game here. Lower net worth than the three Tide, who's 0-6 in the off lane. Limp 2-7 on Void. And S4 with Hood, Halberd, at least has some sort of defensive tool against that Slark, but the problem is you can outlast, but can you even kill? That doesn't make sense. Outlast was the wrong word. Okay,
Makes
Nico
a lot
Baby
of sense. Nico Baby, he gets off his ult. They're just going to try to withstand it. FNG and company have come to help out as well. Spider Fist doing so much damage. FNG again dead. No big surprise. There's the Searing Chains now. Nico Baby trying to stay alive, but it looks like the right clicks will come through. 23 Savage getting that one with the BKB activated, and they're not done yet. Looks like Hansking is next on the list as S4 and Alliance are starting to crumble here, Cinderin. T1 looking primed to take this series 2-0. They lose one, it's only Cuckoo.
6 for 1.
6 for 1, that is true. Dieback on FNG. And into the Roche Pit, T1 goes. So you can see a replay here, the initiation on to Nico. I mean, the fact that you have a here again, we talked about this before, but Slark against Medusa just feels incredible.
Yeah.
Like, is there a better like a carry versus carry matchup for against Medusa?
I think
it's up there.
I think Slark has to be one of the best. I think Ursa deserves an honorable mention just because of how much mana burn he can get out so fast with overpower, but yeah, it's definitely up there. And like you said, Slark being one of the best. We can go back to the draft all we want. Obviously, the game is being played out right now, but probably something that Alliance aren't too happy about. Someone who is happy there, though, Zephyr, definitely having a great time. They chose to give him Treant this game. I think he's done an excellent job. In all honesty, it doesn't feel like Treant has been the absolutely most integral reason why this lineup has worked, though. It's something to think ahead for the other teams that are very likely to face T1 now, as Alliance are very much on the back foot, but perhaps prioritizing other bans against this team could be worth it. Look at that change in just the last 9 minutes.
Yeah.
Slark and company are up with a 19-1 chance of winning.
Yeah, that is rough stuff. 94% win rate, or win probability for T1. Still 4 minutes to go with the Aegis, so plenty of time for T1 to farm the map. Make sure that Alliance gets kind of starved out of the areas that they want to farm, and eventually go high ground. They don't have the best high ground, again. We've talked about this before, but T1's lineup, that's, I guess, one of the negatives coming out of it, but
they have so much safety on their course. That's the thing. Like, Slark and Ember can farm hyper-aggressively because Alliance's ways of killing them are super limited. I honestly think you can't kill either Slark or Ember without Ravage.
Yeah, you need Ravage.
You can't chain stun long enough, and S4 doesn't have Dagger.
The thing that they're missing, I mean, again, this is hindsight, but burst damage against Slark would be very nice in this scenario.
Oh, here we go!
Yeah. Jump in from Karl. Looks like FNG is just going to die. No, actually lives with barely any HP, and then finally gets taken out first as Karl will go back to safety. 23 Savage on the back line now, trying to target Limp. You see the fissure come out as well. BKB dodging the Ravage as a result. Limp is going to stay alive, though. Mortimer gets this from afar. Cuckoo taking the brunt of the damage here. Looks like he's going to drop the first to fall for T1, but 23 Savage looks perfectly healthy for now. Pops his ult.
He still
gets one kill. Nico Baby, very low on mana, which means he is Very susceptible to die here, Cinder. And 23 Savage resetting, going back in, buyback. You see the mana drain coming from Whitemon as well. Nico Baby pops the wand, but to little avail. Zephyr does get off his ult, but the finger of death taking Nico Baby out in spades. No buyback for him. You see a nice freezing field come out, but it's going to result in the kill of Carl. In the meantime, beautiful impale onto 2. S4 on the run. Trying to get back into this base. Is 23 Savage not scared of anything because that Aegis is still intact.
That was maybe a little bit too cute there from Savage, but he's obviously able to reset out of here. Guess how long would he have had on the Aegis? That was still a good 2 minutes left on that. It was maybe a little bit unnecessary, but
2 for 2 with the. I mean, that was a pretty long fight, and only 2 died for Alliance. You got to be happy with that. Although Nico Baby is the one that has to survive in these fights.
Yeah. If they could have got away with that, losing any other hero than Nico, and he gets 1 or 2 kills, is probably a net win. But like this, it kind of turns into a draw. You've got to keep in mind, Slark is getting a lot of those stacks now. 16 permanent agility on Savage. Surely you've got to pay good amounts of gold for this.
Radiant structures.
Yep, that's just another, like, add that to the pile of benefits that this hero has that we talked about, right?
Yeah, but there are a lot of Slark games that are not good, right?
Yeah.
Like, it does take a certain lineup for it to really shine.
Oh, he
unlike
is
some other
looking.
carries.
He knows they don't see him. Shadow Dance is active.
Yeah. Has his shard, by the way, so has the Depth Shroud to be able to use on teammates or himself.
Yeah.
Basically like a free ult. S4. Oh, he's going to get pounced on. I think 23 Savage is just trying to get away. And he will be successful at that either way.
Out. They're just going to full reset. They don't have Carl. So we'll wait up. Carl's going to go top, start pushing that out. Obviously, with that, Ags can connect pretty quickly. Going to clean up that wave very fast with double Remnant.
Yeah, working on the refresher. Already has the Ags in his inventory. So we'll be zipping all over the place. The win probability has actually changed slightly in Alliance's favor in the last couple minutes.
1% down.
Yep.
All right, just another 50 good team fights, and then we're there. Well,
I mean, they do have good team fights, to be fair, but the problem is really is Ember Spirit on the backline just killing supports.
This is definitely doable, and what it's going to come down to is ideally that T1 go on Nico Baby, and you get to play your other heroes effectively, right? One of the big differences in that fight, like you pointed out, was that there was actually a decent freezing field for once, and it makes a huge difference. That's what ended up killing Carl. He wasn't expecting that burst of damage coming in from the tree line, so if you do set it up here for Alliance, it could work. Okay, instantly breaking the smoke.
Yeah, Shadow Blading up. Nice. Got the ensnare coming out as well. BKB, there's the Echo Flame onto 2. Limp already dead in this engagement. 2 dead for Alliance to start this fight out. Nico Baby getting mana drain for a little bit of time here. It's 23 Savage. Now just focusing on Nico Baby along with Cuckoo, getting the stuns out. We'll see how that status resist works from this time. But the mana drain from that Diffusal and the Essential stacks are just getting out of control for T1. They only lose their support Lion and get 4 kills as the trade. And T1 looking to go high ground. There is a buyback on Nico Baby, but will it matter? The building damage is now coming through.
At the very least, that Glyph kills off the siege creep, but this Slark with current 18 permanent agility and 68 stolen.
Pretty good.
Very fast.
See the halberd being used, but this will be a full set of mid-racks in all likelihood for T1. As we're going to give some free stacks to 23 Savage. And T1 going to bide their time here, Cinderin. Like I said, these matches are just so important. You cannot give up leads like this. So likely to play quite disciplined, potentially even waiting for the second Roche.
Yeah, it's not far away. The early respawn is in less than 2 minutes, so definitely is a possibility. I think T1 can just take this top tier 2 tower without too much worry. Carl is going to go and take care of that.
No.
And Savage will also be farming up the Ancient camp on the Dire side. The whole triangle, as a matter of fact. FNG, I feel like I've seen him make this play like 7 times this game. Go to that cliff, place sentry, use a Nova, a D-ward, and go away. And he's died 2 or 3 times there. This time doesn't die, but unfortunately also doesn't find any ward. But whenever you find yourself D-warding that spot multiple times in a row in a game, you know what kind of game it is. Like, that spot is about the most offensive ward you can possibly place as Radiant that is not inside the enemy base.
Yeah.
So pretty indicative of the game state for Alliance. They're just cornered completely.
You can see Nico Baby going for the Divine Rapier, Cinderin. Still about 3k away from finishing it.
You got to do it, honestly. You have to take that risk. Savage gonna find Limp. Oh, the tower though.
And Limp has to Astral Step. Uses both, in fact, just to make sure he doesn't take another death to his name. And yeah, map control firmly in T1's favor right now as we likely wait for the next Roche. So in 30 seconds, we'll find out when that will actually spawn. FNG trying to get some map control back, but it feels like he's just died every time he's attempting this. The poor lad.
And they know the ward is there because of Shadow Dance. So get rid of that immediately. Nico Baby is exposed here. Alliance are trying to bait him. They really want this fight where they go on Nico. They feel like it's their only chance, and I agree with this 100%.
Smoke up as well. And Already gets popped.
The Ember Spear on the backside again. Ravage comes out from S4. 22 Savage does take considerable damage, but again, FNG dies at the beginning of the fight. Carl, look at how much space he's creating. Just absolutely decimates Hanskin with just his remnants. Whitemon jumps in with the finger of death. 3 dead for Alliance, and they are likely out of Ti10 after this fight. Medusa takes a tumble. Triple kill for Carl. And S4 finally goes down. He's the only remaining member for Alliance with buyback. They call GG, and T1 moves on. Syndra, Alliance out.
Yeah, there's just no doubt about it after watching these 2 games. T1 just clearly the better team at this event. Alliance got completely rolled both games. There were some glimmers of hope. Again, similarly to game number 1, there's like that one fight around the 10-minute mark. This game, it's the